Imagine if I told you that the next thought you think literally, the next one could physically change your brain in a way you can never fully undo. Not metaphorically. Not emotionally. I mean biologically, structurally, chemically. If that idea makes you stop for even a second, good. Because once you understand how fragile your brain wiring actually is, you'll realize that every thought you allow into your mind becomes a blueprint for the person you're becoming. And if you don't take control of it now, someone else will. You're watching Financial Reality Ethical. And before we go deep into this mind-bending truth, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because what you're about to learn can shift the way you think forever. Now here's what most people never hear. When you have a thought, your brain doesn't just react, it builds. It wires. It forms microscopic physical structures between neurons, like tiny bridges that grow stronger every time you repeat the same thought again. Think about that for a second. A single thought repeated becomes a habit, a belief, an identity, not because of motivation or discipline, but because your brain physically rearranges itself to make that thought easier to think next time. And that's why you can't stop worrying once you start. That's why negative people stay negative. That's why the habits you hate keep pulling you back. Your brain is literally building pathways that make those thoughts your default. Most people blame their circumstances, their past, their lack of willpower. But what they never realize is that they have become prisoners of the very thoughts they never questioned. And the scary part, your brain can't tell the difference between a real experience and a repeated thought. If you repeatedly imagine failing, your brain wires itself as if you actually failed. If you constantly rehearse something painful that happened years ago, your brain builds the same pathways as if it's happening right now. That's why you feel trapped by memories that should be long gone. But here's where things get interesting. The same mechanism that traps you is the same mechanism that can completely rebuild you if you use it intentionally. Imagine walking through a forest. If you walk the same path every day, the ground gets smoother, the bushes get pushed aside, and it becomes the easiest path to follow. Your thoughts work exactly the same way. When you worry, when you doubt yourself, when you replay insults and failures, you are walking the same mental path so many times that your brain makes it almost automatic. But imagine if you walked a different direction long enough. At first it feels wrong, uncomfortably slower. But if you keep walking that new path, eventually it becomes the easier one, and the old one fades. Your brain does the same thing. It prunes away the circuits you stop using and strengthens the ones you use repeatedly. This means you have far more control over who you are than you ever believed. This isn't motivation. This is biology. And once you get this, you stop waiting for life to change and start changing the inner wiring that controls how you live. Let me tell you something people rarely admit out loud. Most adults are stuck, not because life is hard, but because their brain became addicted to thinking the same old thoughts. Addicted to worrying, addicted to overthinking, addicted to staying comfortable, addicted to replaying what went wrong. The brain doesn't choose what's best. It chooses what's familiar, which means if your familiar thoughts are negative, your brain will keep dragging you back to negativity even when your life is improving. And if your familiar thoughts are self-critical, your brain will fight to keep you in the same painful identity even when you're trying to grow. This is why when someone tells you to think positive, it doesn't work. It's not about forcing a positive thought. It's about rewiring the circuits that positive thoughts need to survive. If those circuits don't exist, positive thinking feels fake, uncomfortable, your brain literally rejects it. But when you choose one small thought and repeat it daily, slowly, your brain begins to form the wiring that supports that new idea. And that wiring, once strong enough, begins influencing your behavior, your confidence, and your decisions without you even noticing. Think about the first time you tried something new. Maybe the gym. Maybe waking up early. Maybe learning a skill. At first, it felt like every part of you was resisting it. But after a few weeks, it got this year. You didn't magically become more disciplined. Your brain created the wiring that made the new behavior feel natural. You literally became a new person. And if you stop, the wiring weakens again. Your identity is not fixed. It's built and rebuilt every single day. But here's the part that almost no one talks about. Your thoughts don't just build identities. They build your future reactions. If you repeatedly think I'm not good enough, your brain wires itself to look for proof. If you repeatedly think I always fail, Your brain notices every mistake more than every success. If you repeatedly think life is stacked against me, your brain filters the world through that lens. This isn't positivity or negativity. This is neuroscience. Your brain reinforces what you tell it, and then it filters reality to match those predictions, which means your thoughts today decide how you interpret life tomorrow. And that cycle either makes you unstoppable or keeps you trapped. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually chose your thoughts instead of letting them happen to you? When was the last time you rejected a negative thought and replaced it on purpose? When was the last time you said something to yourself that built you up instead of tearing you down? Most people never do, because they don't realize how high the stakes are. If every thought is a brick in the foundation of your future self, why let random thoughts decide who you become? Why let doubt design your dreams? Why let fear shape your choices? You deserve better than the worst thoughts your brain throws at you. And the moment you realize that your mind is not a camera but a construction site, everything changes. Now, someone might say, but I can't control my thoughts. They just happen. That's only half the truth. You can't control which thoughts appear, but you can control which ones you feed. Your attention is the water. Your repetition is the sunlight. Your emotion is the fertilizer. The thoughts you feed grow. The ones you ignore die. If you keep replaying a painful memory, you're watering it. If you keep imagining failure, you're watering it. But if you choose one powerful thought, I am capable. I can change. I'm building a better version of myself, and you water it day after day. It becomes a mental path so strong that your brain begins choosing it automatically. That's how confidence is built. That's how discipline is built. That's how self-belief is built. Not instantly, but physically. One neural connection at a time. And here's the twist. Most people don't expect. Your brain doesn't care if the thought is true. It only cares if you repeat it, which means you can literally think your way into a stronger identity before your life changes. Your brain will follow your thoughts and your actions will follow your brain. And this is where your life begins to transform. Because the moment you start intentionally choosing thoughts that match the future you want, your brain starts preparing you to live that future right now. That's the secret behind every confident person, every disciplined person, every successful person you've ever admired. Their brain wasn't born different. Their wiring was built through repetition, and yours can be too. So, here's what I want you to try tonight. Sit quietly for just 30 seconds. Pick one thought you want your brain to believe. Only one. Something simple. Something real. Something you want to grow inside you. And repeat. Italiano. Not fast, not forced, but calmly. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become identity. Identity becomes action, and action becomes your life. You don't need motivation. You need wiring. And you can build that wiring starting today. This is the truth most people never hear. Your brain is plastic. It changes. It adapts. It rebuilds. And that means no matter where you are in life, no matter how stuck you feel, no matter how heavy your past is, you are not locked into the person you've been. You can think your way into a better version of yourself. Not through fake positivity, not through pretending life is perfect, but through intention, through awareness, through choosing the thoughts that lead you where you want to go. So take a moment and look at your life honestly. Are your thoughts building the future you want, or the future you fear? Are your thoughts aligned with the person you want to become, or the person you're trying to leave behind? Because the wiring you build today will decide your habits, your confidence, your focus, your emotional strength, and eventually, your life. And that's why being intentional with your thinking is not optional. It's survival. If you've watched this far, it means you're already becoming more aware than most people ever will be. And if this message spoke to you in any way, drop a comment and tell me what new thought you're choosing to wire into your brain starting today. Your comment might inspire someone else to start their own transformation. And if you found value in this, share it with someone who needs a reminder of how powerful their mind truly is. You never know whose life you might change with this message. This is Financial. And if you want more videos that help you grow mentally, emotionally, and financially, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Your next thought might just be the one that changes everything.